Hello. Today we're going to talk about another common class activity. This is fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. Fill in the blank tends to be a reading and writing exercise, although sometimes it can be adapted for listening. So to fill in means to put something in. So maybe I fill in a hole in the sidewalk with some cement. And then blank is another word for an empty space. Fill in the blank. So a very common example of fill in the blank activities, which are not exactly activities, but common for you to be asked to do both in class and perhaps at work or at a doctor's office, are personal information blanks. So here's an example of an introduction. Hello, my name is blank, and you would write your name. I am from blank, wherever you're from. And I speak blank, this language, that language. Sometimes it can be more than one. And then I want to learn English because. Now these ... 3 dots is another way of indicating to the student, we're looking for you to fill in more information, but since because is asking for a longer reason, you don't have one blank, you just have a lot of blank space to write. I want to learn English because I want to help my children with school. I want to talk with my doctor. I want to continue going to school, but here in the United States. So fill in the blank. Now sometimes, fill in the blank, especially in our textbooks, you will have a word bank, So this is where all of your vocabulary words will be listed. So vocabulary is a big term that just means all the words we're learning. So your job will be to take words out of the word bank and put them into the blanks in the paragraph. So we will need to go to the blank before we can make dinner tonight. We should buy some fruit. I like blank. We also need some blank for the chicken. Last, we should have something healthy to drink. How about blank? So, if we use our brains and look at the word bank, we can figure out that going where? To the grocery store. Now, this hint is nice because grocery store is 2 words, and you can see we have 2 blanks here. So, before we can make dinner tonight, we should buy some fruit. Now, this blank, I like blank. Our hint is fruit. It's related to this sentence, I like blank. So what is a fruit on our list? Oh, also it helps to cross out the words you've already used. Forgot about that. So we know we won't use grocery store again, probably. So I like apples. Apples are fruit. So we'll cross off apples because we used it. We also need to buy some blank for the chicken. So what on our list goes well with chicken? Well, milk doesn't really go with chicken as well as rice. So we'll cross off rice for the chicken. Lastly, we should have something healthy to drink. How about, and then we know milk is the only drink on our list. So that's an example. Fill in the blank can also be with pictures. So again, you see our word bank and you see the pictures with the blanks below. And so our job is to fill in, rice, apple, grocery store, milk. So this is also a great way to practice some writing and spelling, making sure you get the writing correct. Now sometimes, with the fill in the blank with pictures, you might not have a word box. The picture is supposed to be your only hint. So, now fill in the blank can also be listening. You will have a worksheet that looks like this. It will have paragraphs with blanks in it. And your job is to listen to your teacher read aloud. Only listen. Or we'll listen and then write what you hear in the blank. So we need to go to the grocery store, your teacher will say. And then you will write grocery store. Before we can make dinner tonight, we should buy some fruit. I like apples. We also need some rice for the chicken. Last, we should have something healthy to drink. How about milk? So and then all of the blanks should be filled in, but if you miss one, if your teacher's going too fast, usually they stop and ask, okay, does anybody need any of the blanks repeated, said again? And then that's when you can ask them. So fill in the blank. Grocery store, apples, rice, milk. Good. Now here are some longer personal forms for fill in the blank. So student name, it's important to know your name, how your teacher can get in contact with you. And then here are just some other pieces of information that are usually helpful for your English program to know. So take a look at this, and here's a better example though of why knowing fill-in-the-blank procedures are important. This is the N400 form. This is if you want to apply to become an American citizen, and it's a very long form. You can see this is page 1 of 20. So it's 20 pages of fill-in-the-blank and yes or no questions. So it's just good to practice fill-in-the-blank as well as you can in class. So when you're filling out a form that's important, you don't mess it up and you won't have to start over again, or it won't get rejected. So here are just some tips for fill-in-the-blank activities. Take your time to understand what the blank is asking for. Read through all of your options if you have a word bank. If you have a word bank, it may be helpful to cross out or mark off used answers as you go. And this is a good opportunity to make sure you are spelling vocabulary words or key terms correctly. For example, this would be a good time to make sure you can spell your street address correctly. So, good. So this is fill in the blank.